Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Two Geeks Talking is an entertainment industry interview show where we interview the creative people from the comic, film, TV, movie, and video game industries. And of course, I'm your host, Kurt Sasso. We are joined today by a very talented creator who's been on the show in the past. You know him from the amazing works of Super Fogey's as well as his new film career and his most recent film called The Shift. We are joined today by the talented creator Brock Heasley. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. Kurt, how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. You know, it's been a few years since we've last actually talked.
Has it been that long?
I believe the last time you guys came on the show was when you and Mark Lapero were on for the Kickstarter campaign you had way back when. So what else is new?
Oh gosh. Well, my life took a huge turn in the last few years. Like you mentioned, I'm getting into film and stuff, and I have been doing that for a little while now. And that was all precipitated by losing my job. I was a graphic designer and an art director for a number of years, like 15 years. I worked in that industry, and then I lost my job, and like a lot of people do, and it was a bummer. And my wife lost her job 24 hours before I did. That made it kind of a double bummer, and then I kind of floated around for a while, tried to get interviews, but it wasn't really coming together for me. And I got approached by a local production company, Tremendum Pictures, that had a film coming out. This was in 2015, had a film coming out, and they wanted me to come on board to help them develop new projects because they knew I was a writer and a creative person. And so I did. I bummed around with them for a couple of years, and I learned a lot from them. And ended up making my first short film, and that was The Shift. And then ever since then I just kept going. I made another short film, and I've been doing a lot of different things, and now I've got some really cool stuff in the works. That's kind of been my. I've still been doing the comics, still Super Fogey's going strong, but definitely have turned a lot of my attention towards film.
And just as a side note, I wanted to make sure to let you know that I actually did receive the omnibus, and it looks beautiful. Like, I mean, I can't wait for the next time you make one there. So thanks so much for that.
Awesome, thank. No, I'm really pleased with how that came together. Honestly, the publisher Third World Studios, they've published stuff of Legend and Finding Gossamer and a lot of different books and a lot of really high quality stuff. They actually feel like this is the best from screen to page translation they've ever seen as far as the quality of the printing. This is the thing that they've really been pleased by how it turned out, and I am as well. And I've had this comment from a lot of people when they have read the omnibus, what we're calling Super Fogeys Volume 1 in Action Heroes. It feels like it's not like we took a web comic and then stuck it in a book. It feels like this is where it should have been all along. Like, it reads really well on the page. I mean, you can tell me if you disagree, but I'm really happy with it, and I hear from a lot of people that they are extremely pleased as well. Just the presentation of it is different, but it feels right. It feels even more right than the, which is crazy, but it really does. It works very well collected.
No, it was incredible. I mean, the colors were amazing. The formatting was beautiful. I mean, you go back to the beginning to the end, and you can constantly reread it. The style and the colors just seem to really pop off the page there, and the extra features as well were just incredible too. I mean, the map that Mark created of Valhalla was amazing too, and I can't wait for the next one. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I'm excited.
Let's talk about the first film that you worked on, and being new to the film industry itself. Why did you desire to make your own films?
Well, after I had been working with them for about a year, and that year was crazy. That first year, the movie that they came out with was called The Gallows, and it was produced by New Line Cinema and by Blumhouse Pictures. So this was a major release. It went out into 63 countries, and it made like 21 million its first weekend. And that was a lot of fun. I got to go to the Hollywood premiere, partied next to the Kardashians for a little bit, which was totally bizarre and not some totally lost on me. But it was definitely a bizarre moment. Um, and I did that whole thing, and I felt very much like a fish out of water there. It's not really who I am, and I came in pretty late on the production of that film, but but because I was so involved in the company, I got to go to that premiere. And then just seeing all of that, all that release and everything surrounding that, I really got this desire within myself to make something for myself, to be a director, to see if I could write and direct something. I'd always been super interested in movies. I mean, I read Starlog back in the day when I was in elementary school. I think is when I started reading Starlog, and then I had a subscription to Entertainment Weekly and to Premiere, and the internet came along, and I remember Ain't It Cool News was like the biggest thing on the planet for at least for movie geeks on the internet. And I read, then I went and moved over to Chud, and Badass Digest, which became Birth Movies Death, is kind of the big one I'm into now. It's a great blog, and Slash Film. And so I've just always been like, a steady diet of movie watching, behind the scenes stuff. And also when I worked as an art director, I would listen to movie commentaries as I would draw or design things, because that's just a totally different part of your brain. And so I could do my work while at the same time listening to directors' commentaries on DVDs. And I did that for years, just mainline them. And sometimes I listened to them more than once. And I started just learning, not because I had any goal, but just because it was interesting to me. And so I learned a lot about storytelling. I learned a lot about how to put movies together. I learned a lot more actually than I really thought I knew. I didn't know everything, but I knew a lot. And so after working for a year with this production company, with Tremendum, I had a yearning to see if I could do this, if I could actually make a film that came from my head, and surround myself with people who know a lot more than I, which is what I did. So the best decision I made was to get a really talented DP and get people who really knew what they were doing. And then over 3 days we shot this tiny little short film called The Shift, about a guy who, he's down on his luck and he meets the devil, and the devil's got a job offer for him, and he can have fame and fortune and power and all these things. All he's got to do is just do whatever the devil tells him to do all the horrible things that the devil does. And that was kind of this little story I was telling. Really simple, two guys talking in a diner for a lot of it. But I did it, and it actually ended up turning out to be pretty good. Which shocked me, and I think it shocked everybody. There was even one of the guys at the premiere. We had like a cast and crew screening. One of the guys there, he raised his hand, afterwards, and he was like, I got to tell you, like, I was sitting in there in that diner watching you do all this and watching it performed, and I didn't really think it was all that. then I see what it turned into, and and he was like, I'm totally blown away. And as I have gone and shown that film to other people, and now it's available publicly online, that's the response I keep getting. So I kind of feel like right out of the gate, having this burning desire to make this film and just doing it, and just getting really lucky with my collaborators, I made something that, at least to me, is really special, and it's special to a few other people too, which is, the most you can hope for, I think.
I mean, especially when making films itself, you really have to have a message in your films, or a story, at least, for that matter.
Definitely. I mean, you have to have something to say. Anybody just makes a film because they want to, like I see this a lot. People who just want to make a film because they want to make something scary, or they want to just show some guys shooting at each other because that's cool. It's like, that's not enough reason to tell a story. You have to have something to say. So for me, The Shift was a very, very personal story, in the sense that it did come, over a year after I lost my job, and so a lot of it was kind of about that. And then the first couple minutes, the main character, basically his boss comes and tells him, "I'm going to fire you," and so here's this guy who's just feeling completely defeated and undervalued, and then here comes somebody else who says, "You know what? I think you're pretty dang special, and I want to give you everything you've ever wanted." And the unfortunate thing is that guy turns out to be the devil. But the temptation of that, and how somebody would deal with the temptation of that was what I wanted to talk about. That was what I wanted to say. And yeah, I think if you don't have that thing that you want to say, that subject that you want to tackle, that personal connection to the material, then you're just screwing around and having fun, which is fine. That's fine. But that doesn't mean it's a film. That doesn't mean that's something that people should get excited about. So yeah. I want to try to say something. I think people's time is their time is valuable, and it's better spent on things that have something to say.
As fun as it is to write and direct as well, it's really a team effort because a couple of short films I've done in the past, you've always had to have a good core group of people behind you, a solid producer, a great cinematographer, etc. And there was a couple of times where you're really entrenched in things, and if you don't have a good team behind you, then it's really difficult to make your vision come true on the screen for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You cannot do it without a good team behind you. There's just no way. It's too complicated. It's too much of a group effort.
And if I recall correctly, you're doing a new film called The 205.
The 205th, yeah, yeah. So that was my second film that I did I think about a year and a half after I completed the shift, and that was kind of it was something that I really wanted to talk about. The concept of it is it's about this girl in college, and she has chosen this particular day at the beginning of the film to tell her best friend this huge secret she has, and the big secret is that when she dies, she basically starts her entire life over again, but with all of her memories intact. And she's done this a number of times, and she has chosen this day to tell her friend that this is what happens. And so, kind of the mystery of the film is why does she choose this day, and what is going to happen? And it turns out there's some pretty deep consequences to telling her friend this, and to letting her in on things. And it very much spirals out of control very, very quickly.
I saw the trailer and I thought it was really well done, and your cast really stuck out to me. And who were they?
Yeah, we had a very, very top-notch cast. The two leads are one of the leads, Emma Horvath. Sorry, Emma. I worked with her on a film about a year earlier, and she was the lead in that film. I didn't direct it or write it, uh, but I got to see her work, and I got to see how good she was. And I saw her very quickly as somebody who was very much up and coming. And thankfully, we became friends enough that she was willing to come in and be the lead on this film. And then the best friend character is played by an actress named Audrey Neal, who I met through auditions down in LA. Also very good. Also, and their rapport, the two of them together, it's really about the friendship between these two girls. And Emma and Audrey could not be more different from each other. Uh, and that's kind of fits in the film itself. The two girls are very, very different from each other. But I was particularly interested in having two female leads and talking about an aspect of female friendships that I find to be unique and very different from male friendships. And so it was kind of my way of tackling that, while at the same time tackling this theme of the things that we do that are bad and how they can come back, and how we are tempted to bring them back into our lives, because at the end of the day, the things that we do that are bad, there's a part of us that enjoys them. So there's a lot of different ideas going on. In fact, if there's anything in that particular film, there's maybe too many ideas happening. But the responses I got from that were pretty good. And in fact, that film ended up having its international premiere at the Fantasia Film Festival up in Montreal, which is a big genre festival. I believe Inglorious Bastards debuted there when it came out. But and that was a good time. That was fun.
I mean, you drove through Windsor and you didn't even come in and say hi to me. I'm a little shocked there.
Oh, we'll see. Then there you go. Mark, my artist on Super Fogey's, he only lives like 5 hours from there. We were gonna hook it up. I've never actually met Mark, and we were gonna get together, but I just couldn't fit it in. There was no way. I was in and out of there.
And just to let you know, also, Brock, that this is going to be the first episode of 2020. So it's going to be released on January 1st, 2020. So you're the first ever for the new year. So congratulations on that.
First of all, I'm honored to be the first one of 2020. That's a big deal. Congratulations. How long have you been doing this now, Kurt?
Well, I've been doing this show since August 8th, 2008. So it'll be 12 years in August of 2020.
That's crazy.
Been a long time.
You've been doing this almost as long as we've been doing the Super Fogeys. that's a long time. That's awesome.
I mean, truth be told, I really wouldn't have gone along. I wouldn't have done this as long as I had without Phil starting us off way back when in 2008 and getting me out of my introverted shell. I know he's around and he's hopefully doing well, and I really hope the community supports him as much as they can and however they can too. So thanks, Phil.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. That's cool. Yeah, Phil's still kicking around. I see him still helping people out with Comic Press and WordPress. It's amazing. That guy's so cool.
Obviously, you're keeping yourself busy. You're doing a lot of writing. You're doing a lot of film work, and I'm sure you have a couple of things coming on the go. What's the biggest thing that's happening in your life right now?
So the big thing that's kind of taken over my life right now is that the shift. I did it really just to see if I could direct, like I talked about. And I really didn't imagine it would be anything beyond that. And to be honest with you, and this isn't something I really reveal a whole lot, that film cost me $500 to make, which is a very, very low number. And so I really didn't have any ambitions for that film beyond just making it and just seeing whether or not I could do it. However, about a year and a half ago, I submitted the film on a whim, kind of, to a website called vidangel.com. And what VidAngel is that they basically help people to clean up their Amazon and Netflix movies and shows, kind of taking out some of the profanity and violence according to how you want it to be done. So it's a subscription service. It's really, really cool service for people like myself. I have a faith background, and I'm not really a huge fan of profanity and things like that. And so when I watch films, if I can, privacy of my own home, clean them up, and VidAngel allows me to do that. But so their audience is kind of like people like me, right? People who are kind of like super into movies, but also have a faith. And for that reason, VidAngel realized that there is a market for quality programming that can still speak to the values of people. And sometimes faith-based, to put it kindly, a lot of faith-based material isn't super great. It's kind of pandering. It's kind of cheesy. It's kind of like a Hallmark movie with Jesus, and it's not. That's not necessarily what I'm into. And if you are, that's cool, but it's not what I'm into. And VidAngel, their sensibility very much is similar to mine, where they wanted some quality programming, and they wanted to have their own original programming to bring in more subscribers. Same thing. It's kind of what Netflix is doing. So last year, what happened is they had this TV series by a writer director I very much respect called Dallas Jenkins. Dallas had created this short, like basically a pilot for a TV show about Christ, kind of seeing Christ through the eyes of his apostles and his followers, and that little pilot kind of blew up, and it became a really big deal for VidAngel, and they realized that there was a lot that could happen with this. And so what they did is they put that pilot up and did a crowdfunding investment, which is different than Kickstarter. Kickstarter is like donations, but investment, you're actually buying a piece of the project, like any other investor would in a property. And they put that up for crowdfunding, and just to see what would happen, to see if they could get enough money so they could actually produce the first season of this show. And when they did that, they ended up raising, in a very short period of time, about 6 months, about $10 to $11 million. Which is an insane amount of money. That's even more insane when you realize that prior to The Chosen, and I am going to get back to my own film, but this is very, very cool. The Chosen, prior to The Chosen, the record for raising money through crowdfunding for a TV show or a movie was about $5.5 million. So they doubled the previous record with this show. Needless to say, it was a huge success. The Chosen season 1 has since just came out like a week ago. Well, we're doing this in the beginning of December, but it just recently came out. The show is super high quality, and when VidAngel saw The Shift, my film, they realized that this was something else that they could crowdfund for to make bigger. So we got on the phone and they asked me, and they said, "Hey, can you make this into a film? Is there, here's 20 minutes, this is great, but is there more?" And I said, Yes, absolutely. There is more, and I would love to do that. And I know exactly what the movie would be. I'd actually given this a lot of thought, and I knew how to continue the story. And I said, I'm not interested in making a TV show, but I do see this as a full blown, 2 hour motion picture. Um, and so that's what. So they were all about it. And so what we have right now set up, and I don't know if we want to provide the link or not, but to people so they can check it out. Oh, cool. But yeah, you can check it out at you can check out the film for yourself and see what we're doing with it at vidangelstudios.com/the shift. Did I say that right? I think I said that right. That's what it is. studios.vidangel.com/the shift. And on that website, you can actually watch the film for yourself for free, and you'll see what we're doing with it, and you can invest in it if you would like. And you can see where our current level of investment is and all of that. And hopefully by the time everybody hears this, we'll have launched our marketing campaign. Because right now, if you go on there, at least as of this interview, when we're doing this in early December, we haven't started any marketing. So it's kind of low right now. But VidAngel is going to put a giant marketing campaign, nationwide marketing campaign towards getting the investment for this, because they really believe in it. They really believe that this film, this tiny little film that I didn't have much of a goal for, they really believe that it can be a lot more. And I at this point, with the script written, I'm ready to go. And this is what I really hope is my 2020, that I'm making this film, and which is really going to be my debut feature film. Up to this point, I've only done a couple of shorts, but anyways, needless to say, I feel extremely fortunate to even be in this position, to even be talking about this. It's pretty nuts.
With a feature film being made then for this, or when you do make it, are you going to keep the same cast as what you had, or are you going to recast?
Yeah, well, we're going to be recasting. The short film actors did a very good job, and I have no real complaints at all about their performances or anything like that. My wife's one of the characters. She plays the wife. You see her right in the very beginning. One of the goals with this is to not just to make it, but to have it be successful and to get it theatrically released. And the reality of that is that if you can have actors who people can recognize, even if it's just somebody who was just on that show, for a couple seasons, or whatever it is, that makes you much more viable in the marketplace. So we are going to be recasting for that reason, although I certainly hope to bring back as many actors as I can, at least in smaller roles, and have them participate.
So seeing as this is your premiere feature film, do you have any actors in mind? Is there someone like you want to play for, say, the devil, or for the main character? I think you're like a Gary Busey or something like that, or someone a little more. Who do you have in mind for this for the cast for this thing? I mean, if you could pick anyone.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about that, and I don't know how realistic it is. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try to go after somebody that you really want, right? But the guy that I actually would really love to cast as Satan, as the devil in the feature film, would be Dennis Quaid. Yeah, absolutely, Dennis Quaid, and for a couple of different reasons. Number one, he's already done a faith-based film, and he's quite open about his faith. So he's somebody that I think could really connect to the material. Although I will say, it is a different kind of faith-based film in that it is also a sci-fi film. And in fact, for most people, it plays more as a sci-fi film than anything. One of my problems with a lot of faith-based films is that they're very heavy-handed, dropping the name of deity over and over again, and really kind of using language and speaking to a particular audience. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But as far as like the kind of stuff that I'm attracted to and the kind of stories that I want to tell, I like a more subtle approach. I like approach that is a little off the beaten path, and that invites a lot of people in. And so I think that anybody who watches, I think if you watch the short film, you'll find that it plays for the most part as a straightforward sci-fi film, and I think that'll be true for the feature film as well. But certainly the faith-based messages are in there, and I don't shy from that. I'm honest about it. But it's definitely a different kind of film. Just combining sci-fi with faith, I can't really think of another film that's done that. So just combining those two together already, we're in a totally different category here. But you can watch the film and see all that for yourself. But Dennis Quaid, I think, would connect with the material, And also, he fits right perfectly into my conception of who the devil is, because I don't think that the devil is a guy that's got red skin and horns and a tail and he's cackling and twirling his mustache. The devil is the smoothest guy on the planet. The devil is charming. The devil's got a beautiful smile. The devil is a guy that is friends with everybody. You know, he's the guy that pulls you in and makes you think that everything that he says is a great idea, and he's just trying to help you out. And then before you know it, you're in the pot and you're boiling and you're done. And I think Dennis Quaid is perfect because he's usually plays, what does he usually play? He plays like the all-American guy. He's the charming guy, and that's much more interesting to me than a mustache twirler. So a little bit against type, but at the same time using that type that he is to for an effect, which I think ultimately will be a heck of a lot more scary.
Have you thought about Tom Ellis from the show Lucifer?
Yeah, I've heard of that show, and I've purposely not watched it because, as I understand it, kind of what I'm describing is kind of how he is in that show as well. But this will be, from what I know of that show, this will be very different from that.
So, is there anything else that's happening with you in 2020? I mean, any new projects or anything else that we can look forward to?
Well, I will say that in 2020, we are going to be having our SuperFogeys omnibus is going to be hitting comic stores and Amazon and Barnes and Noble online. So it will be available for order through Diamond very soon. We actually had planned on having it released before the end of this year, 2019. But we have had many problems with Diamond. In fact, if you know anybody in Diamond, we're still dealing with this problem. We need some help to get through some of the channels that we're trying to get through to get this thing out there. It's ready to go. We've got all the printing done. We did our Kickstarter, which helped us fund the printing. So we have a nice little print run, and we're ready to ship them out to stores. And as soon as we can get things squared away with Diamond, you'll hopefully be seeing them there. So keep a lookout for that, and let your comics retailer know if you're interested in having a copy. We're also going to be doing some signings and some promotional stuff for that. So we'll be making the rounds a little bit. Hopefully we're coming near you. But I'm very excited to finally get that book out there. You are, Kurt, you're one of a select few who have a copy of that book. Most of them are sitting in a warehouse in, I think, Washington or somewhere.
Well, I hate to tell you this, Brock, but that kind of leads us towards the end of our show. It was great talking with you as always, but for those that want to find you on the social medias or everything like that, where can they find you?
So you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/writerbrock. You can also find SuperFogeys on Facebook at facebook.com/SuperFogeys. And of course, SuperFogeys itself, you can find it at superfogeys.com. I have a blog website, brockheasley.com. And in fact, right now, a number of years ago, I wrote a book about my dad. He was murdered in 1996, and I kind of wrote a book about all the violence leading up to that and that event itself, which I think is kind of interesting. And in the past couple of weeks, I've started just releasing a chapter at a time of that book, kind of serializing it. So if that's of interest at all to you, I definitely recommend you head over to that site. Every couple of days, there's a new chapter dropping. Yeah, I think that's all the different places I'm at.
Thanks again, Brock, for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it. Let's try not to make it as long as it was since we last talked. Let's try to make it every year or so. That would be awesome.
Yeah. It's been too long.
For sure. So thanks again, Brock, for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. That ends this episode of Two Geeks Talking. Of course, you can find our interview on tgtmedia.com. You can find his past work as well on there. You can find a variety of other amazing interviews, thousands of interviews over the past 12 years on that website. You can, of course, find it at youtube.com/tgtmedia. And, of course, click on the like button for this particular video, as well as the subscribe and the bell as well, so that I can get more subscribers to come back and watch these amazingly talented, creative people that I know you all love. Tune in next week for another we're joined with Trevor Mueller from Albert the Alien, who holds the longest interview on ever on Two Geeks Talking at 4 hours. And if you can find that, then great, listen to it. It truly is incredible. But again, thanks everyone for listening, watching. Can't wait to see you next time on Two Geeks.